Hey guys, Demir and Kara from Lifehack Bootcamp. We're here for round 2 of how do we create an office environment that's both productive and relaxing.
Low stress.
Low stress.
Super, super important. Okay, so we had so many tips for this that this is why we're doing a part 2 video. If you haven't checked out part 1, I'm gonna link it in this video as well, so check that out. This is part 2.
Yeah, so let's get straight into it, right? Now, tip number 1, guys, set a good example. This is so important. I can't tell you, we had a big name person, I won't say who it was, who said, my whole team's super unproductive and they wanted to send the whole team to do a training with us. And we said, wait, are you gonna join the training? And they said, no, I'm fine. I'm good. It's my team that screwed up. And we basically said no. We said no because we've been down that road before, and I can tell you, it's not that the team is perfect and the manager is wrong, but here's the thing, the team doesn't have the power to actually make changes.
Right.
And so when a manager makes even a small change that's an improvement, and if they set that good example, it empowers everybody below them to make that example. And you cannot create change from the bottom up in an organization when the managers aren't on board.
It's simple, guys. You have to model what good behavior looks like. Just like a parent's expected to model good behavior for their kids, as the manager, you can't possibly expect your employees to do better than you're currently doing. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and unfocused and unproductive, then let's work on your personal productivity first, and then you can roll out those changes to the rest of your team.
And the truth is, the simple truth is that if you were twice as productive, and you know you can be, you know you're not operating in the best way that you could be, if you were twice as productive, that would have more of a knock-on effect for your team than anything else, because 90% of the time it's the manager that's the holdup. It's the manager who didn't pre-plan and therefore didn't catch that we had to be working on this instead of that, and the whole team now needs to change gears. So we need to recognize as managers that our personal productivity isn't just an us issue, it's a team issue.
Number 2, establish office policies for when it's okay for interruptions. All right, there is a right period and a wrong period for interruptions. And for those of you who are saying like, oh, well, my team members are constantly interrupting me, guess what? We know that they are not the only perpetrators, okay? We know that you are also interrupting them, and you're kind of creating that vicious cycle. You're making it okay.
Guys, the truth is that we don't really have a culture or like an understanding, an etiquette, if you will, of when it's okay to interrupt people and when it's not. And when you never know when to interrupt somebody, then I guess the best time is now, right? What we do in our office, just to be clear, we do something called the Sticky Focus game. And it's a time blocking game that we created. You can check out some cool videos that we've done before that on that, where we walk you through it. But what it means is that every single hour, we start working, everybody, not just us, everybody starts working on the hour. And we work for 50 minutes, 50. We work for 50-minute sprints, and the last 10 minutes of any hour is open, fair game. It's times that's when you get up and get a drink of water. That's when you can interrupt anybody. So my employees always know when it's okay to interrupt me, the last 10 minutes of any hour. They can call me, text me, walk over, tap me on the shoulder, and in the last 10 minutes of the hour, it is fair game.
Now, guys, this includes using technologies like Slack, or if you use Facebook Messenger to communicate with people. Like, please don't expect your employees to give you an immediate response. They shouldn't be, pinging you back right away when you message them either. You really want to enforce this policy, because otherwise they're not going to be able to drop down into that sort of deep work, high focus level of concentration that they need to get the most important work done.
And this goes back to the whole overarching theme of this video series, which is if you engineer the roads right and you create the rules and you train people on the roads, you're not going to have accidents. This is a classic definition of an accident, where I'm just finally getting into my focus and really getting my creative juices flowing, and Carrie walks over and interrupts me. That's an accident. That's a productivity accident. So it's up to you as the creator of the rules of the road to say, guys, here's when we do Slack, here's when we do interruptions, and here's when we don't.
Number 3, stop assigning last-minute work to your team. Okay, just please do not be this boss. Have you ever heard of this term, like fire drills?
Fire
this
drills.
Is a common term. Well, it happens when your boss dumps a whole ton of supposedly very urgent and very important work on your desk at the last minute, and it completely throws a wrench in whatever plans you had made for your productivity that week.
So here's an interesting rule that you might want to think about that we have. We work with a team that's basically co-located all over the world. So some of our people are in India, some of our people are in the United States, some of our people are in Latin America, right? And so what we do is we realize that we can't keep reassigning them, because it would just the communication overhead would be tremendous.
Right.
And they get frustrated and they start to hate their job. And so what we did was we instituted a 48-hour rule. The 48-hour rule is that when we give them something to do, we are not going to change that within 48 hours. And yes, that means sometimes we realize that we assigned them the wrong thing and we have to wait as the manager 2 days to get them back on track. And we don't think that's their fault. It's our fault.
Yes.
The 48-hour rule requires you to step up to a higher level of gameplay in your pre-planning and in your organization so that when you give something to your employees, they have the confidence that they can just sort of grab that bone and chew on it until they're done with it.
No planning equals no productivity.
Number 4, create a template for your team meetings and give everybody time to talk.
Oh, I just hate traditional team meetings. They are such a snooze fest.
The worst.
People are just going around giving updates, but no one else knows really what those updates mean or how important they are or what balls they're really moving forward for the team, or if they're just kind of posturing, trying to make themselves look good. So it's just a complete waste of time. So what we recommend doing is actually creating almost like a templated script that your employees can use and sort of fill in the gaps while they're talking, right? This is their chance to connect with each other and with you. So ours goes something like, hey, my number 1 priority for this week was blank. I got blank % done with that. And if it's not 100%, they might say what got in the way was blank. And my number 1 priority for next week is blank. And here's why that's important. Something like that.
Yeah, so simple, so easy. I literally, this last Monday when we had an update meeting, read from the script because no, I don't have it memorized yet. So we have the script, we pass it around, everybody goes through. So it structures everyone's thinking. It gives everyone a chance to talk, and it focuses people who are ramblers on the really, truly important things instead of what might happen to be on their mind at that moment. Now this one is a good one. Number 5, don't do one-on-one meetings. Do office hours. We get this a lot with managers where they are saying, Demir, look at my calendar. Look at my calendar. It's just filled with meetings. When am I possibly going to get any work done? Guys, we know. We know how these meetings go. A lot of times you'll have a half an hour meeting with somebody for something that honestly could have been, that information could have been exchanged or updated in 2, maybe 4 minutes.
Right.
If you schedule a half an hour with somebody, it will never take anything less than half an hour. Here's the alternative. Use open office hours and do as many as you want. You could have open office hours every single day at lunch. Now we have a client and she had, I think, 200 people underneath her and she was just inundated with meetings. So we moved her from one-on-one updates to office hours. And she said the change was just absolutely dramatic. Now, 2 things happened. One was people who needed questions asked didn't have to wait for 2 weeks to get their question asked. They could actually show up because they knew that I think 3 days a week that she had open office hours. And she was also there online. So you could Skype in or you could actually physically walk into her office during lunch. So that was number 1, is that people with questions could get them answered.
Right.
But number 2, a lot of people have questions and they see how busy you are and they don't ask. So there's questions out there that should be asked that aren't because people are afraid to approach you because they see how busy you are and they don't want to take up your time.
Now here's the problem with one-on-ones, because I can already hear some of you out there saying, well, no, but my one-on-one time, it's my time to connect with my employees and they need to connect with me. And yes, obviously interpersonal connection is very important, but it doesn't necessarily have to happen in the structure of a one-on-one, because often what it sort of devolves into is your employee feels like they have to sort of like use up that time. So they start saving questions during the week and, trying to figure out what to ask you, or they're just going to posture during it, trying to make themselves look good.
It's Parkinson's law.
Yeah.
Work will expand to the amount of time we give it. If you have an hour-long meeting, it's going to take an hour, no matter, even if it was a 2-minute issue.
So try to focus instead on doing these office hours. It has been so much more effective with the clients who've actually tried it out. Okay, and number 6, create a culture where employees are going to be rewarded based on task and project completion, not based on volume of communication.
Yep.
We all know how this goes, right? Oftentimes managers don't really know what's going on with their team and what the status of things are. And so they use the amount of communication that they're getting from their team as a stand-in for work.
Like a proxy.
Right, like, oh, if this person keeps on asking me questions and, is pinging things back and forth to other people, there must be work happening here. But actually, that's completely uncorrelated with actually things that are getting done.
Yeah, it's that one person at the office. Everybody knows this. The guy who's always walking around with a manila envelope under his arm, looking really busy. And people say, nobody walks up to that guy and says, "Oh, can I get your help from something?" Because they assume that person's busy. But 90% of the time, they're not. They're just walking around fast, looking busy, sweating with a manila envelope under their shoulder. And the person who's really getting things done for the team is that quiet, unassuming person over in the corner. And they're the person who gets more and more and more dumped on them. And you lose good employees and you burn them out because you're using that proxy where it seems like the people who are talking a lot, emailing a lot, and acting busy are the ones, and they're not.
So restructure your team in such a way that they're maybe using a task management platform where people could not make a single peep, but you're seeing those green check marks come every single day that things are happening and things are getting done. And I just want to point out too, this is getting worse in the digital age, right? Because you've got tools like Slack, right? And those just become platforms where additional communication is happening instead of additional work actually getting done.
Yeah, I mean, there's a race to the bottom right now in the communication space, which is how can we all be on all the time answering all the questions? And what happens is the part of your brain that has to plan ahead, that has to actually do good work, that just starts to atrophy and we just become reaction machines.
Right.
The quality of the work goes down, the quantity of the work goes down, and the quality of life goes through the floor.
Okay, thanks for watching, guys. That was part 2 of how to create a low-stress, high-productivity office environment. If you enjoyed these videos, then make sure to subscribe to our channel to get more videos like these.